We took a week off for Christmas, but the bad drivers sure didn't. Buckle up and let's get started. Today's first dashcam video comes from a delivery driver who sent us the footage he captured right after completing his deliveries for the day. As he left a gas station, he witnessed a tanker T-bone a Mazda SUV.
Oh my, a car accident just happened.
Bennett, who is first aid and CPR certified, ran to help the occupants of the SUV. Along with an off-duty paramedic, he helped pull an unconscious passenger from the Mazda. Firefighters had to cut the Mazda open to extract the driver, but Bennett left the scene once his help was no longer needed. He can't say for sure, but it doesn't look like anyone involved was seriously injured. Erin had noticed that the driver of a white van wasn't paying attention as she passed him. A mile or two later, the van driver failed to notice that Erin had stopped for a red light until it was too late to come to a stop.
Holy almost.
Instead of rear-ending Erin's Kia EV9, the van driver swerved off the road before colliding with a traffic light on a pole, breaking it completely off. Erin immediately called 911 and pulled over to wait for the police. When they arrived, Erin said the van driver told officers his brakes had failed. She provided them with her dashcam footage, and later, an officer let her know that the van driver would be held responsible for destroying the light. He also let her know she should consider herself lucky, as this particular area is notorious for vehicle collisions. Alexa and Dylan were waiting for a red light, half a second after it turned green, and a full second and a half after the other light had turned red, a car flew through the intersection right in front of them. Thankfully, the bright headlights on the other side of the intersection belonged to a police vehicle, and the officer turned on the party lights and took off in pursuit of the reckless red light runner. Alexa and Dylan laughed as they celebrated the instant justice. Alexa told us that Dylan introduced her to Wham Bam videos at the start of their relationship, and they're still watching them together 4 years later. Santa was headed to church one morning when he approached a four-way stop. As he proceeded through the intersection, the driver of a red SUV suddenly blew past their stop sign without even slowing down. Even though Santa slammed on his brakes, he couldn't stop his Toyota RAV4 from sliding through the snow and T-boning the Nissan Rogue. When the two vehicles made contact, the Nissan's door panel ripped completely off. Santa told us that when the police responded, the SUV driver blamed him for the collision. But after the officer watched this dashcam footage, he cited the SUV driver instead. Her insurance provider has accepted responsibility. Santa told us he's glad he found our channel as it inspired him to get his dashcam. One of the models we recommend, in fact. You'll find links to the dashcams our team uses in our own vehicles in the description. Mason was on his way home after dinner with his girlfriend when they noticed a Ram pickup driving along without its lights on. He tried to signal to the pickup driver by flashing his headlights, but evidently he didn't get the message. Someone else noticed what was happening though, and when he turned on his flashing lights, the pickup driver apparently understood that he needed to pull over. Mason said they could see the interaction as they waited at a red light, and it seemed pretty short, so the driver probably only got a warning. Let this be your warning. Make sure your headlights are on while driving at night. We see way too many people driving at night with only their running lights on, which aren't bright enough to illuminate the road at night, or with no lights on at all. In either case, their tail lights are off, a huge hazard. Make sure your actual headlights, not just your running lights and not just your fog lights, are turned on while driving at night. If you aren't sure, it takes seconds to walk to the back of your vehicle and check the taillights. Those seconds could save you from weeks or months of grief after a collision, even if you get lucky and the other party is deemed at fault. Okay, with that public safety announcement out of the way, let's get back to the chaos. Akbar was on his way to get groceries with his wife and son when a driver turned onto the highway right in front of his Mercedes, leaving him with a fraction of a second to react. With no way to stop in time to avoid hitting the SUV invading his lane, Akbar swerved into the other lane, which was clear of traffic. He said, "Thank God we were safe." He told us he's a huge fan of the Wham Bam channels and watches our videos every day. If you're a Wham Bam fan, show us some love by hitting that subscribe button if you think we've earned it. This subscriber was driving down an interstate highway when a semi-truck suddenly clipped the quarter panel of his Volkswagen Jetta, sending it spinning before pinning it to the front of the truck. When the semi finally came to a stop, our subscriber pulled off the road before stopping to call the police. In the end, his Jetta had to be towed away. Our subscriber wanted to remind truckers to be aware of traffic around them, but this footage is also a great reminder of why you should avoid being in a trucker's blind spot. Who do you think was to blame for this collision? This subscriber witnessed some instant justice that made us look up the laws in Ontario to see if what the driver did was actually a citable offense. As he pulled up to a yellow light, another driver drove right through it. Did you catch that? The light was yellow when the other driver entered the intersection, only turning red once they'd passed the stop bar. But a cop still lit up the party lights and pulled them over. We asked Grok if this is really a citable offense in Ontario, then verified its response, something you should always do when using an AI chatbot, by the way, and it turns out that this would not be considered running a red light. That said, in Ontario, if a cop believes you could have safely stopped for a yellow light and didn't, you can be pulled over and cited for failing to stop for a yellow light. It's a completely different offense. This is a great example of why you should always know the laws that apply to you so you can follow them. Of course, some people know what the laws say and still choose not to follow them. Hugh sent us this footage showing the driver of a Hyundai Elantra running a red light at extremely high speed before losing control and going flying off the road. Hugh said the wreck did $10,000 in damage to his Elantra. Oh yeah, did we mention Hugh was the one driving it? This footage was captured on a dashcam belonging to one of his friends. Speaking of Hugh's friends, he had another friend in the Hyundai with him at the time that this happened. The wreck totaled it, and his insurance provider gave him $8,500. I wonder if he showed them this footage. Michelle was on her way to her parents' house for dinner when a Honda driver suddenly pulled out in front of her Ram 1500. Thankfully, there was no oncoming traffic, and Michelle was able to swerve into the oncoming lane to avoid a collision while honking at the oblivious Honda driver. Thanks to this maneuver, no collision occurred. Sean watched an SUV driver start turning onto a road before changing their mind and backing up right into his Volkswagen Atlas. Even though Sean was laying on the horn, the panicked driver slammed into his VW while trying to get out of the way of cross traffic. Sean told us the driver of the SUV was a teenager with a learner's permit. Well, they learned what to do after causing a collision. Sean told us they accepted responsibility, and their insurance provider paid Sean $6,700 for repairs and medical bills. We don't know if this next driver had a learner's permit, but they sure acted like it when they stopped way past the stop bar before turning across Michael's path, forcing him to slam on the brakes to avoid T-boning them.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
Since that low-skill driver was in a Model Y, they're officially today's Tesla behaving badly. If you want to see more Teslas, most of them being driven well, I'll add, be sure to check out Wham Bam Tesla Cam. That's our big sister channel, which recently passed 1 million subscribers. If you're not one of them, we'll have a link to the most recent episode at the end of this video, so you can go check it out. Miguel was on his way to pick up some breakfast before work when highway traffic came to a halt. He and the 2 drivers behind him all managed to safely stop, but a Honda driver 3 vehicles back didn't.
You've been Honda bumped.
Yep, that chain reaction was caused by a Honda bump as a red Civic shoved 2 Mercedes SUVs into the back of Miguel's Hyundai Elantra. Incredibly, no injuries were reported by any of the involved drivers. A state trooper responded to the scene and found the Honda driver responsible. Their insurance coverage was exceeded by the combined cost of repairs to the other vehicles, so the other drivers had to use their own policies. Here's another driver with a learner's permit, Seth's 16-year-old daughter. She was practicing driving on some wet country roads when an oncoming car put her reflexes to the test. After the Nissan crossed the double yellow line, she was able to swerve just enough to avoid a head-on collision. Seth also thanked us for our dashcam recommendation. You're very welcome, Seth. Ryan was asleep in bed with his Dodge Charger parked on the street when the driver of a Chevy Traverse backed into it before driving away. Sadly, Ryan's dashcam wasn't able to capture the full license plate number of the Chevy Traverse as it drove away, and he's still trying to figure it out. If you have any information that might help, let us know and we'll pass it along. Derek was driving his grandma to get some groceries when they encountered a driver we can only describe as unstable. Check this out. As Derek joined other traffic waiting to leave a parking lot, the driver of a Chevy behind him got so impatient, she started frantically gesturing for him to get out of the way. Derek didn't send us his front dashcam footage, but it's obvious he was waiting behind other traffic and not intentionally trying to jam things up for Karen. Eventually, she was able to muscle her way through. And where, you might ask, was she in such a hurry to get to? Derek told us she went straight to a nearby fast food restaurant as soon as she'd finished cutting through the line. She must have been really hungry. Steven was driving his Chevy Bolt when he watched a car sideswipe a pickup. His dashcam caught the aftermath, but not the impact, as it happened in the lane next to him. Watch the pickup swerve as it's hit. After hitting the pickup, the car driver made a quick turn and sped away. Steven tried providing his dashcam footage to the police, but they said no report had been made of the hit and run. Steven had some great advice for our viewers. Pay attention and expect everyone to be terrible drivers. Here's why you should check your blind spot before changing lanes. This subscriber watched a driver panic after nearly sideswiping another car, locking up her brakes and spinning to a stop. The driver then almost caused another collision while trying to get turned back around. Our subscriber told us he's not sure, but he thinks he saw a child sitting in the back seat. Thankfully, no collisions occurred as he continued on his way to work. Denise was driving her Toyota Camry in South Carolina when an SUV driver ran a stop sign before colliding with her quarter panel. Denise told us the SUV driver fled from the scene and she wasn't able to catch up with him. When she reported the collision to the highway patrol, they told her the SUV had crashed into a tree after losing control on a turn. It's been a while since we've seen the cart demon make an appearance on this channel, but Evan spotted the king of all cart demons driving down Interstate 35 in Texas. This roadworthy shopping cart is actually owned by a Texas-based grocery chain, and hopefully it never attacks any other vehicles. Let us know in the comments if you know the name of the company that owns it. Don't forget to check out the latest episode of Wham Bam Tesla Cam and subscribe to that channel too. If you've already seen that video, YouTube thinks you haven't seen this one. Of course, YouTube doesn't know everything, so maybe you have and they forgot, like how they forget who subscribed to us. Make sure you're still subscribed, and we'll see you next week.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.